Have you ever watched your kids' summer dreams crushed because they laughed a little too loud at the neighborhood pool you pay a fortune for every month? What if the woman running the HOA preached safety and decorum, while her clique blasted music and ignored every rule she enforced on everyone else? And most importantly, what would you do if one power-tripping Karen turned your family's happy place into a battlefield of fines and humiliation? Would you sit there and take it? Or would you quietly engineer the perfect revenge right in your own backyard? That's the wild ride I lived through in Willow Creek Estates. My name's Ethan Brooks, a guy who turns dirt into dreams with concrete and steel. But nothing could have prepared me for how one woman would turn our community pool into a symbol of everything wrong with petty power. It was a scorching Saturday in Texas. The sidewalk shimmered like a stovetop. 11 and fearless diver Noah, 8 with the cannonball of legends, and little Sophie, 5, who had just mastered floating, were buzzing with excitement. Towels over shoulders, goggles on heads, we headed to the pool we'd paid $450 a month for an HOA fees. The listing had promised paradise. The lifeguard avoided my eyes as he handed me the paper. Suspension of privileges. The whole family, banned for the summer. Emma's face crumpled. Water like it was a lost treasure. Sophie whispered, "But why, Daddy?" And there, under the shade cabana, was President Cynthia Vance, raising her fancy iced tea to her friends, dragging in giant floaties and a booming Bluetooth speaker, the very items she'd banned for safety reasons for the rest of us. She smiled that tight. "I'm just doing my job," smile that never reached her eyes. My jaw locked. Ring in my ears started. The one that screams, "Don't say it." "This has to be some mistake," I said calmly. Cynthia folded her arms over her binder, a monstrosity thicker than a dictionary, and tilted her head with fake sympathy. "Rules are rules, mister. Apply to everyone, especially those who think they're above them." "And Emma, darling?" Indoor voices, even at the pool. The way Emma's shoulders slumped. We'd chosen Willow Creek for the kids. Before Cynthia, the previous president was cool with the chaos of summer. Then she arrived in her navy pantsuit and silver bob that could cut glass. She rebranded everything operational standards. Adult Swim took over prime kid hours. Toys only 1 hour on Saturdays. She invented her own swim test for under 16s. No real training. Just her whistle that mysteriously never sounded for her clique. It wasn't about safety. She loved the sound of her own voice saying for the children's sake, while her friends partied like it was a private resort. The strikes came quick. "It's over? Violation notice." Emma giggled after a splash. "Thin ice." The last one, Noah helping Sophie float, me right there 2 feet away. Unsafe conduct. 2 words that made me question everything. We walked home like mourners. Cynthia's group thumping. That night, the kids' questions broke my heart. "What did we do wrong?" Emma asked quietly. Noah looked to me for the magic fix. I didn't answer with words. Binder from the closet and read it cover to cover until the words swam. Buried in the fine print, the board can create policies so long as they are applied fairly and without discrimination. Then I pulled up the county plat map online. Our back corner behind the big pecan tree, a sliver marked residential recreational grandfathered from before the HOA existed. That changed the game. I met my buddy Jordan at the diner the next day. He looked at the plat over coffee and grinned like he'd won the lottery. "Ethan, this corner predates the HOA. You could build a full recreational feature here. Splash pad, small pool, play area. Their rules? They stop at your fence line. City permits only." I laughed, that short, disbelieving bark that was half relief, half pure fuel. No more begging Cynthia for mercy. Back home, I paced the backyard in the cool morning air. Slide here. A gentle waterfall to mask any noise. Overbuilt safety everything. Fencing taller than code, double drains, hospital-grade pumps. My wife Emily watched me sketch on graph paper with the kids gathered around like it was pirate treasure. "We're calling it Project Blue Oak Freedom," Liam declared. Sophia traced the slide excitedly. Noah wanted to be the first Cannonball King. Permits flew through with Jordan's help. Crews I knew from jobs showed up. It was buzzing. Jackhammers became the new soundtrack. Moms slowed their strollers. "You'll see," I'd say with a smile that hid the gasoline in my veins. That's when Cynthia arrived like she owned the street, flanked by two bored lackeys in matching scowls. Heels clicking on gravel she clearly hated. "This unapproved construction violates our architectural standards." I wiped dust from my hands and handed her the folder I'd prepared. "Morning, Cynthia. Property line. Here's the city approvals, zoning docs, all highlighted. Want me to read them slow for your binder?" She flipped pages, her perfectly Botoxed face tightening like a drum. "This is an outright attempt to undermine community harmony, Mr. Brooks. Attorney daily, if needed." I shrugged. "Lawyer calls it." "He's very chatty. How's that private pool party last weekend? Those band floaties looked fun." Her friends shifted uncomfortably. She snapped the folder shut. The war was on, and she had nothing but rules that didn't reach my yard. The construction hummed on, and for the first time all summer, my kids were smiling again while helping pick tile colors. The rumors spread faster than the jackhammers. Strollers slowed to a crawl. "Ethan's building his own pool. Is that even allowed?" I just waved and kept pouring concrete. Overbuilt everything on purpose. If code said 4 feet deep, I went 6. Anti-slip surfaces, solar heating so mornings weren't ice baths, a tiny cabana with towel hooks, because why not thumb my nose at community standards with actual comfort? By week 2 the health department showed up, tipped off by Cynthia no doubt. 2 inspectors with clipboards and skeptical faces. My stomach flipped for half a second, even though I knew every pipe, every valve, every test result was flawless. One crouched by the drains, ran a finger along the fence latch, sniffed the water like he could taste the chlorine purity. "Mind if we test?" he asked. "Be my guest," I said, handing him samples I'd prepped. 30 minutes later, he clicked his clipboard shut and smiled like a proud uncle. "Mister, this is cleaner than most public pools we inspect. Beyond code." A cheer went up from the sidewalk where neighbors had gathered like it was a block party. Cynthia watched from across the street, arms folded so tight you could crack walnuts in her elbows. Her face? Priceless, the color of spoiled milk. We opened 2 Saturdays later as the Blue Oak Freedom Club. Laminated cards, handwritten, "Families welcome, no HOA board allowed" sign. Petty? Absolutely. Folding table at the gate, waivers from my lawyer Aaron, Sharpie running dry as I signed in the Morales family. The parks, half the neighborhood kids who'd been stuck in the same Cynthia hell. Diego Morales clapped my shoulder, and school let out. Lynn Park dropped dumplings by the cooler. "You build, we feed" deal. Emma raced teammates down the slide, sputtering laughter. Noah cannonballed and claimed a new record. Sophie stood under the spray with arms wide like she was washing off every indoor voice insult. I sat in the shade for a minute and just listened. That's when you hear a neighborhood's real pulse. Not Cynthia's whistle, but real joy. She didn't like the sound. Is accusing us of undermining harmony. Aaron fired back. "Private property, private club, stay in your lane." Then she tried city complaints. Commercial water park in a backyard. Code enforcement guy showed up, looked at 0 cash boxes, no wristbands, squinted at the splash pad like he wanted a turn, and left nodding. A week later, Cynthia herself swaggered up in oversized sunglasses, slid a signed waiver across the table. "I'd like to join." I tapped the membership line excluding board members to avoid conflicts and offered her a bottle of water for the walk home. She didn't take it. Said it all, fear. What finally snapped the neighborhood wasn't our pool. It was the leaked emails. Now, Willow Creek runs on gossip currency. Dumped board messages showing a preferred residence list where Cynthia tore up warnings for her friends while the rest of us paid fines. A rental ledger proved the HOA pool got closed for maintenance, while actually booked for private weddings, profits routed to some vague consulting fee. that didn't consult anyone but her bank account. Parents packed the next meeting like a subpoena party. I took the mic. If they're applied to everyone. Right now they're applied to families with kids. And wave for the president's crew. Someone yelled, "Say it again." I did. Cynthia banged her gavel until it looked embarrassed. She called us dramatic, said we didn't care about property values, hid behind safety before feelings. But the room wasn't buying feelings, we were buying fairness. She adjourned early, binder clutched like a shield. Attendance at Blue Oak doubled. A towel bin for forgetful kids. This rebellion had turned into rhythm. Cynthia hit back with a lawsuit claiming discrimination against the board. Erin countered with harassment, attached every permit, quoted her own bylaws that gutted her position. Lawsuits bleed money. HOA treasurer stood pale at a meeting admitting legal costs ate a third of the budget. Someone suggested raising dues. A dad in a ball cap shot back. Why should I pay more so the president can sue my neighbor for letting kids get wet in peace? Then the storm hit. One of those Texas gully washers that turns gutters to rivers. Next morning, the HOA pool looked like a swamp. Pumps shorted, water weak tea brown. Repair quotes made treasurers reach for antacids. That afternoon, Diego knocked with Lynn and 2 other parents, faces saying they hated asking. Ethan. Not her. Emily squeezed my arm. Do it. Did this. We hauled hoses, shop vacs, cleared filters. I crawled into the pump room with a headlamp, that old mechanic thrill humming. Called a supplier who owed me favors. Replacement motor arrived in a pickup that same weekend. 3 days later, pumps hummed, water cleared, lifeguard whistles sounded earned, not weaponized. At the next board meeting, Cynthia tried spinning it. Unauthorized repairs. Reckless tampering. The whole room laughed, tired, amazed laughter like nobody believed she'd swing at that pitch. Diego stood with a recall motion. It passed like a wave. Records. Envelopes counted. Cynthia and her loyalists were out by a landslide even she couldn't spin. Diego became president. 2 quiet parents stepped up with hands ready to work, not point fingers. First act. Unwind the joy-killing rules. Adult swim shrunk to early mornings for retirees. The rest of the day belonged to kids. Toys returned. Died. We threw a water unity day, Sophia's name, and families drifted between the HOA pool and Blue Oak like we'd cut a bridge ribbon. I watched Emma teach a neighbor kid tumble turns. Noah compared splashes with twins who'd once feared water. Sophia stuck star stickers on laminated cards like medals. Cynthia shrank. Under an umbrella by the empty pool, binder gone, sunglasses on. Then a for sale sign sprouted on her lawn. Rumors said Florida, quiet community, grandkids who visit but never stay. The night before the moving truck, I saw her by our fence, staring at the silent splash pad, jets like dormant flowers. We didn't speak. She nodded back, tiny truce between people who'd fought a small war and both learned more than expected. I didn't build Blue Oak to win elections or humiliate anyone. I built it because my kids asked a question I refused to answer with a shrug. Somewhere between the first shovel and the first cheer, it stopped being about my 3 and became about every kid told summertime had to whisper. Turns out you can beat a binder with a blueprint if you bring receipts, call your permits, and invite the whole block when it's done. Now here's my lazy take after living it. HOA Karens thrive on silence. Starve them with facts and concrete. Fairness isn't loud, it's built. And if your neighborhood rules ever steal your kids' joy, don't just complain at meetings. Grab a shovel. Nonsense can't reach. That's how real community wins.